Hello there. Welcome back to my channel, Snips by Kelly. I'm Kelly, and tonight I have one for my coffee lovers everywhere. We're creating a cute coffee card design using some things new and some things new but forgotten. We're going to use the Latte Love Designer Series paper from Stampin' Up, and it is definitely coffee, 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 coffee. Coffee mugs, coffee cups, coffee stains, coffee splatters, coffee beans, but it also has some great coordinating papers in it, some stripes, some plaid, some pattern. And I've even said, I think I could make a full workshop out of those coordinating papers. I love them so much. We're going to use a little bit of the Latte Love stamp set and the Latte Love dies. So the stamp set has some great coordinating coffee stamps, and then the Latte Love dies are all things coffee with even a vintagey vibe. So I think there's even a coffee press in there. But what I'm focusing on is those things that you loved, you had to have, you couldn't live without, and you bought it and then you forgot it. These close to my heart to-go cups, thin cups, I've never used them. I had to have them. I couldn't live without them. They were so neat. And I bought them and they collected dust. And I thought, how perfect to pull these out again. And I love standalone die sets that make you look like you know what you're doing. They create all the pieces for you so easily. And when you put them together, it looks like you've created this 3D scene or something that was really complicated, and it was actually really easy because the dies do the work. So we have a card base, we have a wrap, we have a couple different kinds of tops, we have whipped topping, we have a round sentiment piece and a straw. We have all the pieces to make an amazing card, and combined with the gorgeous Latte Love set, I think it's going to be a winning combination. So here you can see that die that goes with the pattern paper, and it cuts out these perfect little coffee cups. And I think we can incorporate those somewhere on our cards. Also in the Latte Love dies are these little teeny tiny coffee mugs. There's 2 of them. And I talk like a baby when I'm talking about them because they're so teeny tiny and cute. And they have even a teeny tiny die that creates the coffee that goes inside those little mugs. So I'm using a couple of the subtles that go with this set. I'm using Calypso Coral and Lost Lagoon. You could also use Papaya from Close to My Heart, and you could use Sea Salt as well. But there's lots of other coordinating colors that would go, like I think Peach would go, Glacier would go, and Lagoon would go from Close to My Heart. I did want to pull in these everyday dies. Now, these everyday dies from Stampin' Up, I think, are those investment sets that you could invest in this set and use it over and over and over and over. It has all the things in it. So I used this circle die to go perfectly around the very plain circle that came in the to-go cups. So I created 4 circles out of the to-go cup die. And then I created the really cute die that goes around it with the everyday details dies. And so now I've created some card fronts or card bases out of that main piece. And so you can see it's scored for you already. It has a little tab on the upper right where you can hook your lid to that and pop it up. And it actually acts as a closure to keep the card closed so that the lid itself will keep the card from popping open. So I'm going to put that in my junk gypsy tray. I've created 4 of those. Now, you can leave it the opposite pattern on the inside if you want to, or I created another piece so that it would create that interior white piece so that I could stamp on the inside. Now you also could just cut those 2 pieces apart from the base, and you could trim maybe 1/8 of an inch off and create an interior piece for one side or the other. So all I did is cut those 2 pieces apart and trim about 1/8 of an inch off so you could still see the pattern on the inside, but you would have a sentiment piece there to be able to write on or to be able to stamp on and to be able to decorate. So it's kind of 6 to 1, half dozen to the other, whatever you would like to do. So for the interior piece that was double, I just cut off that tab so that that tab would be off the top and it would make a great interior piece. So here is the wrap piece. So I've created several different wrap pieces out of a variety of pattern papers. I feel like these pattern papers are going to go, so I just kind of randomly created, kind of like I always do, but you can wrap it and adhere it so that it actually adds as a closure for the card as well. Or you could actually wrap it around a sentiment piece and not have it be a belly band for the card. You could create it so that it's a belly band and it slides off and then they open the card, or you could actually wrap it around a sentiment piece. So I have a couple lids that I created, and I created 2 of the bubble lids out of white. Oh, let's talk about this. So this, I kind of wanted to look corrugated. So I created that little ruffle front, and then I found this Stampin' Up! Embossing folder, this deep stripe. And I thought that this would be perfect to make that corrugated piece that you often have that helps you from burning yourself on your to-go cup. And so I love that. It has just a little bit of texture. Quite a bit of it is going to be covered, but a little bit of it is going to show under the ruffle. Now back to the bubble lid. I really wanted to use vellum. Vellum can be tricky, right? Because you have to find a way to cover up the adhesive in the vellum. But I'm going to show you how I did that. So I created 2 white bubble tops and 2 vellum bubble tops, 2 straws, one again out of Calypso Coral and one out of Lost Lagoon, and you can substitute those. I thought the whip topping would be great with a white glitter paper, so that worked out really good. And then 2 standard to-go cup lids out of white, and then the 4 circles that I created out of that white circle sentiment piece. So now our Junk Gypsy tray is full. We have enough to make 4 cards, but I also wanted to add the bling here. It is the adhesive backed swirl dots, and these are the dots that are recommended with the Latte Love collection, or part of the Latte Love collection, and they have cute little swirls in them. They're coffee colored, or cream colored, and they have the little swirls that are right in them. And so now I feel the Junk Gypsy tray is complete and we can get rolling. We can put some things together. I'm going to use the stamp set to do a little stamping, but first let's just get the bases of the cards put together and let's kind of figure out what goes with what. So again, I'm trusting in the process. I'm trusting in the designers that everything they've given me goes together and that this is going to work without any pre-planning. That's how I always do it. Make my bits and make my bits work. So each one's going to get a corrugated piece, the warmer, or the one that keeps your hands from getting burnt. And then 2 of them will have bubble lids. I'm not sure which 2 here. And then 2 of them will have standard lids. And then the bubble lids, of course, will have straws. And I think inside the bubble lids should be the whip topping. I think those should be the specialty drinks with all of the things, because why would you get a specialty drink and not get the creamy topping? I don't know. I'm sure some people don't, but I don't think I could probably keep myself from doing that. I mean, when in Rome, right? Why not? So then each one needs a coordinating wrap. So I'm just kind of looking at what I think would be a great contrast. So if we have a bright background, maybe we want a more muted wrap. If we have a muted background, maybe we want a brighter wrap. And then looking at the colors that are in the pattern paper, that would be good contrast. So I think I kind of have a good mix there. I'm happy with that. And then trying to figure out if I want the straws to be the same, like monochromatic, or have them be opposite. I think I go with opposite. So we'll do Lost Lagoon. And then I can't decide. I don't know if we should do Lost Lagoon, and Calypso Coral. And then the other 2 kind of go the opposite. So I'll use Lost Lagoon on the Calypso Coral background, and then Calypso Coral on the one that has a little bit more of Lost Lagoon in the background. And then each one will have an interior card. And I think I'm feeling good. I feel like I've got them sorted out. So I'll just pull one of them out for now. Pull out my my mat here. And then a couple things happened here. I wasn't thinking about folding the interior piece directly on the exterior piece without giving it a little give. So once I put this on one side, I realized that it's going to kind of be a super tight fit to have a really crisp fold over. So what I do moving forward is I cut probably not even 1/8 of an inch, but about 1/8 of an inch off of the edge of that interior white piece, just so that I could have that a little more, like ever so slightly, not even 1/8 of an inch in the interior of the outer part of the card so that it folds over. So I grab a bone folder, and then on this one I actually have to trim after the fact because I wasn't thinking about needing that little bit of give in there. But all the remaining cards I actually cut a little less than 1/8 of an inch off, and then I really pressed it down with a bone folder to make sure that it was going to. So you can see that teeny little edge that I gave it by cutting off about 1/8 of an inch of that interior piece, and then that worked perfect, and they closed well. It wasn't too tight. There wasn't any white pieces then that hung over the edge. Now, yay! So now that top little lip at the top is designed to hold the lid, and you put foam tape on it, and you actually overlap the foam lid a little bit so that when you lift up the foam lid, it actually, or put it down, it actually holds the card into place. So you could hold it into place with the belly band, or you could hold it into place with that lid. Very, very clever. Now, if you want this to fit in a 5.5 inch envelope, you're going to have to put your lid quite a bit lower, a little bit lower, and then you'll have to pick it up just a little bit when you open up the card. So you want to check the size. This one I think is okay. It's the one with the bubble lid. You're going to have to put the bubble lid just a little bit lower because I think it goes, if you put the bubble lid up too high, it goes up to 6 inches. And if you want it to fit in a standard card base that is 4 1/4 by 5.5, or card envelope, excuse me, then you're going to have to watch the height. And so for this one, I actually put the glitter paper whipped cream over the top of the white bubble top. Then the straw in place. Now, if anybody who's worked with glitter paper, it's sometimes hard to get things to stick, but I have always found that you could either use liquid glass, you could use double-sided score tape, or even glue dots work well to get that straw in place. I'm going to show you how I strategically got the vellum in place later using a way to hide some glue dots. And so I'll show you that in a little bit. So I didn't actually adhere the vellum up on the top. So now I know that every single cup is going to get one of the corrugated pieces here. So I can get that in place. So I put all of those on all of the cards. Now you can decide. You can either have the wrap where you adhere the wrap so that it's a separate piece that can be pulled off, or you could adhere the wrap around that corrugated piece and adhere it in place and not have it be a piece that you pull down. I decided that I wanted it to be a pull down wrap, and it's kind of like a double whammy. You pull down the wrap and then you sort of lift up the top to open the card. But I felt like it secured it really well, and it kept the card flat when it wasn't, being opened. And so I kind of liked that it would lay really, really flat. So now I can create all those into belly bands by just putting adhesive in the back. Now I have my Everyday Details dies that I cut using the Calypso Coral and the Lost Lagoon. Again, if you're using Close to My Heart colors, there's so many colors that would go with this pack. I think peach would go with this pack, probably desert rose. You'd have to hold it up. I definitely know that glacier would go with this, and even our regular lagoon would go with this. It's possible there's even a couple other out of the greens that would go with this, and some browns for sure. So now what I did is I added 3 little little dots from the adhesive backed swirl dots, and I'm going to put a micro glue dot exactly on the back of each of those dots, and it's going to be just enough to cover up the adhesive on the vellum and hold the vellum securely into place so that it looks like a bubble top. And so you could do this in any number of ways. You could just have a white bubble top. You could just have a Cool Whip top without a bubble top or any other kind of top. Now looking at sentiments, I really did not want to waste the cute little cups that we were able to cut out with the Latte Love dies. So I actually just used those as a complete focal piece on top where a sentiment would go, and then I'll add a sentiment on the interior. So for the other two, I'm looking at some of the sentiment stamps that I think would work really, really well. I think Thanks So Much would fit in there. I also think You're the Best Part of My Day would fit in there. And then I think we could do some background stamping or second generation stamping with like the coffee spill, with the stain, the coffee stain, and the blotch. So I pulled out a couple ink pads, Pecan Pie and Crumb Cake, just to kind of do first and second generation to see which one I felt looked like coffee the most. And I think with Pecan Pie, you could use toffee or acorn. Toffee is always one of my go-tos and close to my heart. I mean, I totally use toffee a lot, so my instinct would be definitely to go with toffee. But if you like a richer coffee, you could probably go with acorn as well. And as far as crumb cake, I end up not using the crumb cake. I thought it was a little more brown gray, and I really wanted it to be more like the coffee color. Okay, so that's what I used there, and I'm actually just experimenting. So I go with Pecan Pie for the sentiment, and then I do a little bit of first and second generation with the Pecan Pie. So I go in with this a spill stamp, I guess I'm calling it. And I do a second generation there by stamping off and stamping back on. And then I'm going to go down into the Pecan Pie direct and do a dark one. And so that way I've really given a little bit with the first generation and second generation stamping, and add those cute little coffee cups up on the upper edge. There's also this ring from where you set your coffee cup down, and I think I could do a couple first and second generation. I think in Stampin' Up, they call it stamping off. So stamp on and then stamp off, just kind of randomly around that upper curve on that circle. And then we'll come in and we'll kind of do the same thing with the spill, the little splotchy spill stamp. These are so great, not even just for coffee, but just for really, really fun backgrounds. You can create your own backgrounds with this. So now I think I'm going to use Thanks So Much, and I'm going to put that in the sentiment piece and then decorate it again with the coffee cups, the teeny little tiny coffee cups. And then I'll show you here at the end what I did on the inside, because I did a little bit on the insides as well, especially on the two that don't have an outside sentiment. So I'm just adding some more of the adhesive backed swirl dots to a couple of those. I didn't add any of those, I don't think, to the ones that had the dots up at the top, or maybe I do. Let's see what I do here. I add a couple here, a couple that are a little bit lighter, a couple that are a little bit darker, and I probably should have grabbed my picker tool. There's a great little slider on the picker tool that slides those dots off without taking the adhesive off. So here you can see I did some more of that first and second generation stamping with the ring stamp and the spill stamp, and then I added the sentiment, This One's on Me, and you could add a little coffee gift card inside there. I did a little bit of rubbing with the blending brush with a little bit of ink in the background of that, and I said, hello there, let's catch up. And then I did a little bit of that first and second generation stamping again. I love them. And what I love about this is I was able to use something new and exciting, but I was also able to use my to-go cups that were bought and forgot. And now they're no longer forgotten and they've gotten some use. And I think I can make many, many more of these cute cards and put little coffee or cocoa certificates inside. And I think it will make a great gift. I'm linking everything that I've used today in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Hit like, subscribe, and share.